This is your replacement? This is your star? This is your hero. I can be your hero, baby. Last I checked, there was only one hero between CNN and MSNBC. The American hero, Scott Jennings. I am a real American. If MSNBC had some real Americans on in prime time, maybe they would be able to draw an audience. But instead of featuring real Americans, MSNBC seems to prefer anti-Americans. And as a result, their dwindling audience prefers to watch just about anyone else. There's just no other way to say this. This is a disaster. Last week, Rachel Maddow said goodbye to her pretend friends at MSNBC. And by pretend friends, I mean Rachel Maddow said goodbye to the janitor who's now using Joy Reid's former method of transportation to sweep the floors. The janitor is her only friend left because a couple of months ago, MSNBC fired her entire staff. Once the Trumper completed his first 3 months in office, Rachel Maddow said goodbye to MSNBC. No more 5 days of work every week, no more daily commutes into Manhattan, no more pressure to create stories like the illusion of Russian collusion. Now, of course, Rach did not say goodbye to everything. She didn't let go of that $25 million paycheck, but that's no big deal. She is willing to work for it. Sometimes. Rach is willing to show up one night a week to deliver ratings to MSNBC. The rest of the week, they're on their own, but that's okay. That's okay. There is no need to worry. There is no need to fear. Rachel Maddow wasn't going to just leave the network without a proper replacement. My inside sources told me that her original idea for a replacement was the Wicked Weave Joy Reid. Obviously, that didn't work out. The artist formerly known as Weave has no way to get to the studio because MSNBC confiscated the broom when they fired her. When Rach reduced her schedule a couple of years ago, MSNBC tried to replace her with someone named Alex Wagner. Well, KC, who in the hell is Alex Wagner? Yeah, that's the same question her brother asked when he saw her on television. Who is this lady and why do we have the same name? Unfortunately, her brother was not the only one who didn't recognize her. MSNBC's audience didn't recognize Alex Wagner either because they never watched her. Her ratings were awful. I'm talking about CNN levels of huge embarrassing failure. But this time around, MSNBC had a foolproof plan. They had a plan that on paper could never fail. Since Rachel Maddow was returning to one night a week while still being paid for 5 nights, MSNBC came up with what they thought was a brilliant idea of replacing her with Little Red Riding Hood, Jen Psaki. On paper, this idea was great for a couple of reasons. Number one, the television daughter of Big Red Joy Behar, she's being paid half the money as Rachel Maddow. And number two, there are bonuses in her contract based on her ratings. Bonuses that MSNBC will never have to pay because Jen Psaki is well on her way to being nominated for the 3rd annual Huge Embarrassing Failure Awards. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter at KC_BTL84. Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, especially my own mother, who I have referred to as Moose for the last 30 years. When I was younger, my mom hated it when I called her mother. I mean, she hated it. Mainly because I would do it when we were arguing, which was damn near every day. Okay, mother. Fine, mother. Go away, mother. Since she hated being called mother, and since I was a professional agitator as a child, I started calling her Moose just to piss her off. But over the years, and now over the decades, the name just stuck with her. When I was young and all the other kids were yelling, "Mommy!" my mom didn't have to worry about stopping what she was doing because she was Moose. Now the entire family calls her Moose. My nephews call her Moose. For the last 30 or so years, she has been the Moose. So happy Mother's Day to my Moose and yours. When you think about it, it's somewhat surprising that MSNBC selected Jen Psaki to replace Rachel Maddow. I didn't think that she would qualify for the job. If you're a woman working at MSNBC, there seems to be this requirement to be bald. MSNBC has become the network of balding beauties. Joy Reid, Simon Sanders, Rachel Maddow, she was working on her receding hairline. But Jen Psaki, she's got beautiful hair. She clearly goes to an outside beautician instead of using the staff barber at the network. Perhaps the hair was what initially attracted lonely men to watch her immaculate debut on Tuesday night. It damn sure couldn't have been anything that came out of her mouth. Matter of fact, that might be the biggest problem with this show. Maybe if Jen Psaki sat there for an entire hour and said nothing, she would draw an audience. I have made a similar suggestion in the past to Caitlin Collins. Katie, woo! Katie, woo! The girl named Rue failed to listen to Uncle Casey's advice. Why don't you ask her how that's working out? Tuesday night, the immaculate debut of Little Red on MSNBC. Now, to her credit, she generated good ratings for her debut episode, which isn't all that surprising. In most cases, the curiosity factor is enough to draw ratings for a debut. It's up to the host to perform to ensure that the audience comes back the following night, which is something Jen Psaki seems to be struggling with. Tuesday night, Red Jr. drew 1.2 million viewers with 139,000 in the key 25 to 54 demo. Nicely done. Nicely done. It's not anywhere close to what Rachel Maddow was drawing, but you can't expect a wannabe star to compete with a real star. Angel Reese has been trying to do that for the last 2 years, and the end result has been huge embarrassing failure. 24 hours later, Jen Psaki returned to primetime for episode 2, and that's where everything fell apart. Little Red drew just over 1 million viewers, a decline of 17% from her debut episode. Well, Casey, what's the big deal? She still eclipsed 1 million viewers in prime time. These numbers are great! Jen Psaki's going to be a huge star! Right now, Jen Psaki is a huge disappointment. Wednesday night, she only managed to draw 65,000 viewers in the key demo, a decline of 53% from her debut episode. But it gets worse. It gets much worse. For years now, there's really been no competition in cable news. Fox News dominates. MSNBC has their audience of wanker spankers. And for reasons unknown, CNN is still shown in airports and doctors' offices, which generates the leftovers they call an audience. For years, MSNBC hasn't really considered CNN to be competition, but they are now. Wednesday night, Jen Psaki was outdrawn in the key demo by the girl named Rue. Not only was she beaten, Little Red was dominated by Rue. Caitlin Collins drew 106,000 in the demo, which was 40% higher than Jen Psaki. Little Red was also beaten by Andy Cooper, Jake the Bongo Tapper, the American hero Scott Jennings. To make matters worse, she was also beaten by 3 unknowns named Laura Coates, Casey Hunt, and Aaron Burnett. And who? How in the hell did Jen Psaki get swept by the entire daily lineup at CNN? The faces of most of these people are only seen on the side of a milk carton or a missing persons report. Jen Psaki has mainstream name recognition. She was the press secretary responsible for covering up the many deficiencies of Johnny B. Biden. How is she getting swept by people who can't draw flies to a fresh turd? Make no mistake about it, this is not sustainable. I know it's just one night. I know it's just her first week, but Jen Psaki is occupying the most important position in the primetime lineup, and her dwindling audience is tanking the entire lineup. Wednesday night, MSNBC was beaten by CNN in the key demo. CNN drew 97,000 against 81,000 for MSNBC. Now, you got to remember, one of the many reasons that MSNBC fired Joy Reid, she wasn't performing in the demo. What were her ratings? Joy Reid was drawing close to the same number as Jen Psaki. Let me show you a couple of examples of what you're missing every night in primetime on MSNBC. Maybe, just maybe, this could be one of the reasons that Jen Psaki is struggling. The first clip is from right after the election. The second clip is from Wednesday night. You know, the episode that no one under the age of 55 was watching. Watch it for yourself.
If elected to a second term, Donald Trump would prosecute anyone he deems an enemy, unleash troops on protesters, and essentially unravel the rule of law as we know it. And this time, he plans to line his administration with people who will actually help him do it. But sure, Joe Biden is 3 years older and occasionally trips over things. Look, there's a lot to be concerned about right now when it comes to a second Trump term. The speeches are getting much more disturbing and much more unhinged, and we should all hear it that way. It's been more than a month, if you can believe it, since Donald Trump announced his sweeping and pretty ridiculous tariffs. But Mr. Art of the Deal, as he calls himself, has not yet struck a single trade deal, not a single one.
As you just saw, there was one problem with her analysis. Several hours after Jen Psaki attempted to criticize the Trumper for being incompetent at making deals, the Trumper announced his first trade deal with the UK. No one is expecting Jen Psaki to replace Rachel Maddow. Somehow Fox News has figured out the formula. It doesn't matter who Fox puts on at 8 o'clock, Bill O'Reilly, Tucker Carlson, Jesse Waters, doesn't matter. Fox could put my moose on at 8 o'clock in prime time who's afraid to speak on camera, and she could draw 3-4 million viewers. But for everyone else, major stars can be difficult to replace. The NBA has never been able to replace Michael Jordan. Terrestrial radio never replaced Howard Stern. No one is expecting Jen Psaki to instantly replicate the success of Rachel Maddow. Eclipsing 1 million viewers, that's good. That's good, but you have got to perform in the demo. That is what advertisers are paying for. They are paying for your audience between the ages of 25 and 54. And drawing 65,000 viewers in that age range, that is not sustainable. Give me your thoughts on this. Jen Psaki ratings in the demo declined by 53%. When compared to Rachel Maddow, I'm sure the declines are even worse. MSNBC was once again beaten by CNN in the demo. Is Jen Psaki capable of carrying the primetime lineup? You tell me. Sound off in the comments below. I'll see you guys tomorrow.